So it's time for another review, and this time we are going to do a space-themed game, which is
Kepler 3042, and this was sent to us by Renegade Game Studios.
Yeah, so this game has a lot going on, and obviously it's space-themed here. We got tons of space where you can have your starship moving around, trying to land on planets, and we got resource management with matter, antimatter, and energy. So a lot of fun stuff.
So what we're going to do is Jody's going to give you guys a quick overview, and then we're going to come back at the end and give you guys our thoughts on this game. So stick around.
So let's do a overview of the game. Now this is not going to be a detailed how to play, so I won't hit every single rule, but let's do a brief overview here. So this is general setup. You got 3 different main zones. You got short range, mid range, and long range. You can see there's these different segments. You're going to have celestial bodies out here depending on player count, and then the ones that are in the short range are going to be turned face up. Then you got the leadership tracks here, and some cars and the planets, and then resources to the side. So each player is going to be having multiple boards that they will be using. This one here is kind of like just a reference, kind of shows you an overview of what all of the different planets offer you. And then you have your technology track here, and then your action board here. And then you've got starships and nation markers, and also a private secret objective, and your Earth, which is your starting planet, and a nice, helpful round summary. Now there's several things to note on your action boards. So each player starts with these resources in their storage area, and this is the Colossus pit. This is where you're going to burn resources. So if I were to burn a resource, it would go here. Now it is important to note that whenever you burn resources, it's hard to get them back. It's not as frequent as you might think. So you don't want to burn tons of resources in this game. But if you ever had an ability to regenerate a resource, it would take the burned resource and put it back in your resource storage. Then this is where you're going to be choosing one of the main actions, and then these are all the bonus actions. So this game is played over 16 rounds. When you get here, the game is going to be over. And then each round is going to have 3 main phases. So you got reveal progress card, player turns, and then cleanup. So the first thing is revealing a progress card, which are these right here. You'll just pick one of these and flip it over, and then you'll read this so everyone can know what it says, because this will be resolved at the end of this round. Next is each player will take their turn, and each player's turn is consisted of 4 things. You got the main action you can do, a bonus action, moving your starship, and then withdrawing starships. So whenever you're taking your main action, you're going to take this marker here and move it to another space. You always have to do that. So everyone starts at the beginning of the game on terraforming. So let's go over all these different actions briefly here. So let's say we went to space mission. So what that's going to do is going to allow you to put up to 3 starships out on the board, but it's going to cost 1 energy and 1 matter per starship. So you will have to spend those from a planet you have, which we currently have. We start with resources on Earth. So what you would do, let's say I want to put out 1 starship, so I have to spend 1 of each resource here, which when you spend it, you're going to take it from the planet and put it back into your resource storage. So for Earth, you would place your starship next to the Sol hex anywhere adjacent, so let's just say I would put it here. But if you spent resources from a different planet instead of Earth, then you would put your starship in a space hex next to that planet. Next up is colony seeding, and this is where you can colonize 1 or more planets at no cost. However, if you wanting to do an alien planet, you have to have a certain level of technology advanced. So to colonize a planet, you'll just remove your starship that is on the planet, and then you will place one of your nation markers on the planet, and then you'll also find planet number 8 from the planet deck and put it in your play area. So next is technological development, and this is where you can advance one or more technologies. So you have your technology track here, and you have, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different technologies. So you can pay, you have to pay resources to move up on the tracks. So for instance, if I wanted to move up on space travels to the next spot, it would cost me 1 matter from one of my planets, and I would spend that and put it back in my resource storage. So I go up like that. And then we got stellar propulsion. This is where you can move one or more of your starships depending on what level you are on the space travels. So right now we're currently only able to move 1 hex at a time. Next is terraforming, and this is where you can terraform one or more planets. And to terraform a planet, you have to make sure you have the right technology or have achieved the right technology. So for this one, this is required. And let's say that on our technology track, we have achieved that. So what you would do is you would need to turn in those 2 resources. So let's say we had those 2 resources on this card. Then what we do is we would pay this, spend it by putting this back into our resource storage, and then you would flip this card over and leave this in your play area, and this will be pointed in the game. And always look for any other symbols that might give you benefits. Next, we got galactic mapping, and this is where you can move up on the leadership track and reveal 4 celestial bodies. So for that action, you can move up either on the colonial track or the technological track. So let's just say we moved up here. So whenever you move up on one of these symbols here, then you can take that resource and put it onto a planet of your choice. If you were to go to this symbol, this is a regenerate. So you would take a resource that was burned and put it back into the resource storage. Next, let's take a look at both of the antimatter generation, so where you can produce antimatter, and also energy storage, where you can produce energy. So where you are at on your technology board will determine how much resources you would get. So for antimatter generation, the main action, you look at the antimatter science technology track. So if we took that action, we would produce 1 antimatter. If we were all the way up to here, we would produce 2. And then for the energy storage action, you would look at your energy development track. And I am currently here, so we would produce 2 energy. And of course, if you move up, you produce more. And the last main action is planetary exploitation. So this is where you can produce resources on 0, 1, or 2 planets, depending on what level you are on the terraforming technology track. So let's say we were on the track that allows us to produce this on this planet here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the resources indicated here and produce onto that planet those resources. So after you've taken your main action, then you have the option to do a bonus action. And with this is where you will be burning resources. So if I wanted to take a bonus action, I would have to choose a resource from my storage and burn it and put it over here. Now, the bonus action you can take is going to be either the column and the row of the main action you took. So if we had just taken that action, then I could only do this or this. Now, briefly, let's just go over these actions real quick. So this just lets you put out a starship. This lets you put out antimatter onto a planet. You can move up on the leadership tracks here. You can move your starship, and this puts resources onto Earth. So after we've done the main action and bonus action, you then can move your starship on the board, and how much movement you do is dependent on your space travel technology track. And then after that, you're going to withdraw starships if you want. After all players have taken a turn, then you're going to do the cleanup phase here, where you're going to resolve the progress card, award any medals, and change the first player. So first you're going to resolve the progress card. You're going to do what it says, which often says if you're the lowest player on this track, you get to do this or some other things. So, and then after that, you are going to award the medals. And then if there are medals on this card, whoever's the highest on those each of those tracks will take those medals, which the medals are points in the game. So Green's the highest on the blue track, so green will take the blue medals. And then blue is highest on this track, so blue will take that medal. So you're going to play through all 16 rounds, and at the end of that, you're going to do the end of game scoring. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can score points in this game. I'll just go over a few. For instance, you can get points depending on what planets you colonize, whether it's in the short range, mid range, or long range. You get different amounts of points. You can get different points for having a set of the same type of planet, because there are, I think there's 5 different types of planets, like rocky planet, alien planets, etc. You can get 5 points if you have one of each planet. You get you get points for having like antimatter on some of your planets, and different, if you reach all the way to the end of your technology track. There's just a lot of different ways you can score points. So that is an overview of how to play, so let's dig right into our thoughts. So, I'm going to be honest with you. As I was reading the rule book, I was like, this might be a one and done type of game. But when we started playing and hashed out through some of the rules, I really like this game. Well, more so than you, for sure. But I was just having a good time. I like resource management games, and I like the exploration. It was fun kind of traveling through space and doing the galactic mapping, where you flip over these celestial bodies to see what you can go explore and colonize. And so when you get onto the planets, when you colonize it, you get the cards, and then you can flip over the card and terraform it. So I was really enjoying it. And then you got the technology tracks, which I like that type of stuff. And then it was really interesting, the resource management part, where you had like a set amount of resources, but you had to kind of make sure that you were handling them properly. You could burn the resources to take the bonus actions, but you have to be careful not to burn too many, because then you won't have resources to put out on the cards to spend. So it was an interesting way to do resource management. I really enjoyed it. Oh, and so I'm a little nerdy, so just stuff like this, I just smile. So I enjoy. Yeah, I'm a nerdy person, so that was up my alley. So what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so what we just showed there, this does not speak to me. So, I had a little bit of difficulty with this game just because of all of the different possibilities, which I know for a lot of people is a great thing, a fun thing. For me, I like kind of having a finite amount of options, and it just seemed like there were so many different things that I could do that I had a hard time making all the decisions. Now, it was interesting because somehow I ended up actually winning the game. We actually tied, but I won the tiebreaker. So I that kind of redeemed it for a moment for me, but it's not necessarily a game that I'm going to say, yeah, let's go ahead and play.
Well, I might have to get you to play again. If not, I'll get my other board gaming friends to play with me, because I really enjoyed this one. It was fun. And I love space-themed games, and this one was definitely fun. I'm gonna keep this sucker. And there's a bunch of different actions you can take on your turn. Like on your action board, you've got you've got these 9 actions you can take, and then possibly bonus actions. So it's a lot to think through and stuff. But it was fun for me. If you don't like crunchy, thinky games, then you might want to shy away from this one, because this definitely has that crunchiness, thinkiness, definitely a little bit heavier of a game. So
I think for me, it also, because of the thinkiness of it, it made for a lot of downtime. And so it was kind of like, okay, I guess I can think about my next turn, but it was also kind of, I don't know, I was just having a hard time with some of the downtime, I think. I don't know why, but for me, that was...
I'm fine with it, so...
Yeah.
If there's ever downtime, I'll just pull up my app and look through board games or BGG and stuff, whatever.
I don't do that.
Anyway, I didn't think it was a significant amount of downtime. It was a decent amount, but we were also like hashing out the rules for the first time. But if we played it again, it'd be a lot faster. I really enjoyed this game. You maybe not so much, not as much, but I mean, I tend to like more thinky, heavier games. So if you like those types of games, then you might want to check this one out because it's definitely right up that alley. So, guys, thanks for watching, and if you want to help us out, you can hit that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, adios.
See ya.